So I've gotten a lot of people recently asking me about moving to Chesapeake, comparing it to Virginia Beach, and figuring out which one is better to move to. And I think people have been focusing a lot on Virginia Beach, which for a lot of good reasons. But I do think there are a lot of reasons why you should choose Chesapeake over Virginia Beach. So we'll go over some things that I think are important to know that will, I think, cause you to maybe want to move to Chesapeake over Virginia Beach. And we're starting right now. First thing to keep in mind is that with Chesapeake, there are different parts of it, right? So there's the central part. So I'll show you on the map. Chesapeake's a big land size, but if you look on the central north part of Chesapeake, area here near South Norfolk, near Indian River Road, this area is completely different than South Chesapeake, going further down, all into the country, suburbs, and then over to Western Branch on the western side. That is kind of it's kind of like South Chesapeake, but there's a lot less of it, right? So you'll just see different pricing there, different atmospheres, different lifestyles. Everything's a little bit different in each part of Chesapeake. And so when people compare Virginia Beach to Chesapeake, they often compare the South Chesapeake area compared with the Virginia Beach area. So we use a lot of South Chesapeake area comparisons to Virginia Beach in this video. So the first thing I want to mention is that in Chesapeake, as opposed to Virginia Beach, you get a lot more newer houses for the same price. As you get into the year 2000 and on, you're starting to find that there is less those newer construction or current new construction houses in Virginia Beach compared with Chesapeake for similar prices. So if you look on the map, Virginia Beach is a big city. Now, zooming out, you're going to see a lot of the area in Virginia Beach has already been developed. Now, the southern part of Virginia Beach is the area that has the highest chance of maybe new construction just because there's just more area to develop there. But even then, while there's some neighborhoods there that are being built, Asheville Park is a good example in the southeastern part, there is not a whole lot. Over into the last 5, 10, 12 years, you'll see a lot more growth in the southeastern part of Virginia Beach. But if you compare that to what you find in Chesapeake, you'll find a lot of different options and also for similar or cheaper prices. So people that do want to move to the area, they're often focused on school districts, but they're also focused on land. They're also wanting to, things like newer houses. In Chesapeake, because of the type of city and size of this land size that it is, you just have more chance to get more newer construction. And so there's been more growth in the last 10, 15 years in Chesapeake than there has been in Virginia Beach. There have been more houses built in the 90s to me in the southern part of Chesapeake than there have been, comparatively speaking, in Virginia Beach for the similar prices. Now, when I say similar prices, what do I mean? What you'll find is that if you compare different parts of Virginia Beach to parts of Chesapeake, and focus on the spots that may have some of the similar school district demands, some of those spots that people often go after just for school district purposes, you'll find that the median sales prices in Virginia Beach they often trend a little bit higher, if not about the same as in Chesapeake. And for example, southeastern, north central, northeastern Virginia Beach, that median sales price in Virginia Beach is going to be $630,000. So if you go into the south part of Chesapeake, the median sales price is $530,000. That also factors in some parts that have maybe some school districts that aren't in as much demand. So that will probably bump up closer to $600,000 if you get real specific. My point though is that Virginia Beach generally trends a little bit more expensive, but almost the same. But the difference is that you'll find that there are more newer houses in Chesapeake compared to Virginia Beach for that same price. If I go into the $500,000 to $800,000 price range and I look and I see how many houses have sold or are on the market or under contract in the last year in South Chesapeake for houses built between year 2000 and in 2024 new construction, there are 666 houses that fall in that criteria. But if I go over to Virginia Beach in that same criteria, the number is 300. And that includes a variety of school districts in each part of Chesapeake or Virginia Beach. So my point here is that you're going to find a lot more houses that are newer in Chesapeake as opposed to Virginia Beach. Now, if you go to other parts of Chesapeake, for example, like in central Chesapeake or West Chesapeake, you'll find different environments, different prices. But as far as what people often compare with Virginia Beach, they often focus on South Chesapeake. So that's why I'm using those as comparisons. So number two is Chesapeake also has some pretty in-demand school districts compared to Virginia Beach. Now, Virginia Beach has a lot of them, like, for example, Kellam, First Colonial, Princess Anne, Salem, Cox, Lansdowne, Tallwood, Ocean Lakes. And people come from other parts of the country specifically sometimes for these schools. But People often compare these with others in Chesapeake. For example, there's a big three: Grassfield, Hickory, and Great Bridge, that are three in the south part of Chesapeake that are very comparable in demand, especially if you look online in the online rankings. They're often similarly compared with Virginia Beach schools. And so that's one of the reasons why you'll find that the prices are often pretty similar in South Chesapeake as opposed to Virginia Beach. That being said, if you're thinking to yourself, I want to come to the Virginia Beach area, but I'm not sure about other parts of the town, but you're school district focused, I would definitely keep Chesapeake in mind for this reason, because you might get a different type of house or more options for houses for the same or often less price, and often similarly ranked school district. So if you're focusing on school district, Chesapeake can be a very good option to keep in mind. Next thing is, people say, well, I don't want to live in Chesapeake if I work in Virginia Beach or Norfolk or some other city, because the commute is going to be so long, because the Chesapeake area has so much country and is rural. It's going to take me forever to get to other parts of town. Well, that can be true, but a lot of Chesapeake is very close to other cities, and it has large, long roadways that connect to other cities too. For example, if you look in the south part of Chesapeake, you'll see a couple different roads. Route 17, right near the south, like very south central part near Grassfield, but also Route 168, which is the Chesapeake bypass, which connects all the way down to the border. These both do, but also connects all the way into Norfolk and towards Interstate 64, which takes you to the rest of Chesapeake, over towards Suffolk, over towards Virginia Beach, pretty easily. So when people look at Virginia Beach, they think, well, I want to be able to have easy convenience, maybe even to shopping or to the beach or to my job. Well, if you, for example, look in the central part of Virginia Beach, you see a bunch of roads in here, right? A bunch of long, windy roads. That means what? Stoplights. Well, if you're far enough away from Interstate 64 or Interstate 64 and you're in Virginia Beach and you want to drive to the beach, for example, or you want to drive to your work or to Oceana or anywhere like shopping, you'll find that going from places like Greenbrier, which is the right next to Virginia Beach, or even South Chesapeake, like the Hickory area or the Grassfield or even Great Bridge areas, they're all pretty close to these main roads. So if you take these main roads and get up into 64, into Virginia Beach or Norfolk, it might take you 5-7 minutes longer. It might take you 3 minutes longer. It might actually be quicker to get from Chesapeake, like Greenbrier specifically, as opposed to other parts of Virginia Beach, to get to other parts of the same city. Now, is this always the case? No. I'm a big proponent of telling people that there are parts of Chesapeake that have bridges, drawbridges, or toll roads. Especially in the south part, there are some newer, like this new toll. The Victory Bridge has a toll. So it's not super easy everywhere. But if you're close to especially the Chesapeake bypass, it really could save you a lot of time and give you a lot more options for houses, and not really be that much longer of a drive to work or to shopping. Especially with shopping in Chesapeake, it's a bunch of suburbs, just like Virginia Beach is. So you'll have pockets of shopping up and down. In Greenbrier, for example, is one near Battlefield Boulevard. There's plenty of shopping up and down Battlefield Boulevard. In Great Bridge, the shopping centers in the corner, like there's a Kroger right near Mount Pleasant and Centerville Turnpike. There are other shopping areas, not just that Kroger, that are all sprinkled all through Chesapeake. And so you won't be driving too far to find just about any sort of essential. So you'll find there are a lot of similarities between living in Chesapeake and Virginia Beach as far as convenience goes. It just feels farther, which is one of the reasons why people don't want to live in Chesapeake, is because of that feeling. Now, the next one is that in Chesapeake, you have more land use flexibility. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, Virginia Beach, it has a little bit more of a stricter zoning structure. You can't do as much with your land, specifically with, like, for example, with a livestock. Great example of this is in Chesapeake, you can have up to 6 chickens on your property. Now, I'll drop a link to show you the specifics and the unique dynamics about what you can and can't do with even your property in Chesapeake in regards to chickens. But this is a good example of Chesapeake is just a little looser with their guidelines of those types of things. And so you'll find that you'll see the different vibe in Chesapeake compared to Virginia Beach for this reason too. This kind of reminds you of the fact that you are in the country, you are in a small kind of rural town that has just grown over time into a suburb. So he's got the suburb mixed with some rural dynamics as well. Virginia Beach has some of this, but just not as much of it compared to Chesapeake. Now, Chesapeake is not just loosey-goosey, do whatever you want. Definitely do your research there, but I was using the chickens as a good example of you can just do a little bit more in Chesapeake than you can in Virginia Beach. The next is, this is a very interesting and important one, which is you have more options for acreage. Now, what do I mean by that? If you look at the map, go back, you'll see Virginia Beach has a lot of rural part in the southern part of Virginia Beach down near Pungo. That's a big area, right? And a lot of newer construction or new construction, custom style houses in this area. There are some neighborhoods in here, some small ones, but comparing it to the south part of Chesapeake, where you've got Hickory and Grassfield and Great Bridge, like that south part all the way near the border, there are just more options to have those custom style houses, bigger houses that are built on larger properties. For example, 1 acre, 2 acres, 3 acres or more, you'll find even small neighborhoods, more of them in Chesapeake as opposed to Virginia Beach. For example, in Woodard's Mill, that was in the Great Bridge area right here close to Etheridge Manor. That's Woodard's Mill. Another one is Shillelagh Farms, which is over closer to Hickory near the Chesapeake Regional Airport, which is over here. Lots of great, nice sized lots. I have one of my best friends used to live in Shillelagh Farms before he moved out of the area. Our friend lived next to him. We had 2 big lots we could do a bunch of stuff on right next to each other. This is Shillelagh Farms right here. Now there is Caroon Farms over closer to Johnstown Road in the Great Bridge part of town. Right here you find more of those larger lots over here. Other good examples, Kentucky Forest, Green Ridge Farm. Another good example is Hickory Station Estates going towards Header River Road down in near Hickory. Another great example, because as you turn off a Centerville Turnpike, a long road that does have houses on it, turn off there and you'll find a couple streets that have, these are $1 million plus in most cases. Another one very close to there is Beaver Dam Estates, which same kind of thing. Turn in there, you get several houses. So you're in the rural part of town. You also have well and septic systems, but you also have a small neighborhood. You have that familiarity of, you drive in and you have neighbors as opposed to the middle of nowhere. There are a lot of these smaller neighborhoods that might have like 15, 20 houses in them. But as you turn off of a country road, you'll turn and you'll find just big lots with individual houses, like a long line of them, like 1 street, 2 streets, and kind of like a cul-de-sac. And so this is, to me, a pretty nice balance of country, rural, but also you still feel like you're in a neighborhood. You're not just in a random, like custom house plopped in the middle of nowhere. You do have a sense of neighborhood community in some of these neighborhoods with a combination of larger lot size. So this is more frequent in Chesapeake as opposed to Virginia Beach. The price ranges could be anywhere from 6 and 7 up into the 1 million and over that, well over that, 1.2 and plus. Like Woodard's Mill is a good example of houses mostly in the 1+ million price range, and also Hickory Station. But that being said, you're getting neighborhood and mostly 2+, 3+ acre lots in big houses. But I think the added dimension of a neighborhood feel, whether it be not too big, but just enough, to me is more prevalent in Chesapeake as opposed to Virginia Beach for the same price. Now, the next one is in Chesapeake, you have a lot more space to grow. And I don't just mean house, you could build more houses and more space, land size for residential houses, but also there are more spots you can find more strip malls and shopping and essentials that are still growing in Chesapeake. Especially, for example, one is Summit Point, which is, it's, to me, I consider it the downtown of Chesapeake. It's closer to Greenbrier. I did a video about Summit Point as well, but it's right over close to Volvo Parkway, close to the Dollar Tree headquarters. Lots of shopping there, nice restaurants, brewery there, plenty of cool stuff there in Summit Point. That's a big one right in Greenbrier. Now, Greenbrier itself used to be the class of Chesapeake. It's the 90s, right? It's this old 90s construction. It's going to get a facelift soon as well in Greenbrier Mall specifically. There's talk about what to do there. That's going to change drastically here pretty soon. Another one, Edinburgh Commons, which is going further south off of Route 168, more newer construction around there, but also shopping there at Target, Walmart, like your Essentials Plus is how I look at that. And so while you do have a lot of country in Chesapeake, it's not all that way. And even if you go into the middle of country in Chesapeake, I think you'd have more options for quicker essentials as opposed to being in the middle of Pungo, for example, in Virginia Beach and trying to get to essentials there. Now, from the flip side, in Pungo, if you get closer to the north part of Pungo, closer to the suburbs, closer to the like Ocean Lakes area, for example, you will have closer access to shopping. So it's not all easier in Chesapeake, for example. I think you'll just find more potential in Chesapeake for larger scale growth for shopping and essentials and new construction as you would compared to Virginia Beach. Now, also too is Chesapeake will just feel more local than Virginia Beach in a lot of parts of it. Now, Virginia Beach has different cultures in different parts of the city. As you get closer to the beach, there's that that local, that beach town feel that you get near the ocean front, the north end, Chicks Beach on the north side as well. A lot of different parts of the area on the coast can feel different than the rest of the city. The rest of the rest of it can be busy suburbs. But Chesapeake, because of how it started as a kind of a rural town. Great Bridge was, kind of not too many streets, just a lot of, country shops and older houses. And then around it, the area grew. And so you'll find the DNA of an old country town mixed into what is a suburban part of town in Chesapeake now. But you see a difference compared to what Virginia Beach has become as opposed to what Chesapeake has become. You start seeing a big difference as far as how the two suburbs, while they're both suburbs, they do feel totally different. And Chesapeake just feels to me more of a local type of suburb. For example, every year at Christmas time, there's going to be a parade. There are more local, like farmers market types of things. There are more local shops and stores and boutiques. And just it feels more of a local town compared to Virginia Beach. Again, there are people that will say, Sam, what are you talking about? Virginia Beach has a small town feel vibe too. It does have some of that, but it's just a lot more commercialized to me. And it's just also had more time to become that. Chesapeake just hasn't had that. And even if you go into parts of central Chesapeake or western Chesapeake, it doesn't have the same activity level as you might find in Virginia Beach. So if you have any more questions about relocating to Chesapeake or Virginia Beach through Williamsburg, let me know. It's what I do. I love helping people relocate to the area. So if you have any questions, you can call me, email me, text me. I've got my contact information in the description. You can ask me anything you like, and I'll do whatever I can to help you relocate to the area. And I'll see you on the next video.